India, the world's largest democracy, is a land of diversity, culture, and rich heritage. But, did you know that India is also one of the fastest growing economies in the world? In this video, we'll take a closer look at the economy of the Indian government and how it works. Hello everyone, my name is Kishan Rabdiya and you are watching the Inside India Politics channel. The Indian government has a mixed economy with both public and private enterprises. The government plays a significant role in the Indian economy through its policies, regulations, and public sector undertakings. The government spends its revenue on various sectors, including infrastructure development, education, health, defense, and social welfare programs. In recent years, the Indian government has undertaken several economic reforms aimed at improving the ease of doing business, attracting foreign investments, and boosting economic growth. The Indian government's economy is still developing and faces various challenges, including high levels of poverty, unemployment, and income inequality. The government plays a significant role in the Indian economy through its policies, regulations, and public sector undertakings, PSUs. The government earns revenue through taxes, including income tax, corporate tax, goods and services tax, GST, customs duties, and excise duties. The government also earns revenue from non-tax sources, including dividends from PSUs, interest on loans, and revenue from disinvestments. The government spends its revenue on various sectors, including infrastructure development, education, health, defense, and social welfare programs. The government has launched several schemes and programs to reduce poverty, including the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, MGNREGA, the National Rural Livelihoods Mission, NRLM, and the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, PMJD. In recent years, the Indian government has undertaken several economic reforms aimed at improving the ease of doing business, attracting foreign investments, and boosting economic growth. Some of these reforms include the introduction of the GST, the liberalization of foreign investment rules, and the simplification of labor laws. These reforms have helped to create a favorable business environment in the country, which has resulted in a surge in foreign investment and job opportunities. However, the Indian government's economy is still developing and faces various challenges, including high levels of poverty, unemployment, and income inequality. The government is also promoting entrepreneurship and innovation by providing financial assistance and tax incentives to startups. Overall, the Indian government's economy is dynamic and evolving. It is a complex system that is influenced by several internal and external factors. The government's policies and reforms have helped to improve the country's economic growth and development in recent years. India, with a population of over 1.83 billion, is the world's largest democracy and has one of the fastest growing economies in the world. The government has also initiated several economic reforms in recent years aimed at improving the ease of doing business, attracting foreign investments, and boosting economic growth. These reforms include the introduction of the GST, the liberalization of foreign investment rules, and the simplification of labor laws. These reforms have helped to create a favorable business environment in the country, which has resulted in a surge in foreign investment and job opportunities. The government is also promoting entrepreneurship and innovation by providing financial assistance and tax incentives to startups. In recent years, the government has also focused on the development of the digital economy. The Digital India program aims to transform India into a digitally empowered society and knowledge economy. The program includes initiatives such as the BharatNet project, which aims to provide high-speed internet connectivity to all villages in India, and the Aadhaar project, which is a biometric identification system that has helped to streamline the delivery of government services. India is a land of diversity and contrasts, and its economy reflects that. The Indian economy is the fifth largest economy in the world, with a nominal GDP of $3.80 trillion. India's economy is diverse, with the services sector contributing the most to its GDP, followed by agriculture and industry. India is the world's largest producer of milk and the second largest producer of wheat and rice. It is also a major exporter of textiles, pharmaceuticals, and IT services. India's economy has come a long way since its independence in 1947. The country was a closed economy until the early 1990s, with heavy government intervention in the market. However, in 1991, the government initiated economic reforms that liberalized the economy and opened it up to foreign investment. These reforms have transformed India's economy, making it one of the fastest growing economies in the world. The government's policies are guided by the 5-year plans, which set targets for different sectors of the economy. India's economy is also vulnerable to external factors, such as fluctuations in global oil prices and international trade disputes. The COVID-19 pandemic has also had a significant impact on the Indian economy, leading to a contraction in GDP in 2020. India has a diverse economy with a mix of agricultural, industrial, and service sectors. The service sector is the largest contributor to the country's GDP, accounting for around 25.92% of the total. India is also one of the world's largest producers of textiles, and the IT sector has grown rapidly in recent years, making it a significant player in the global tech industry. India has a young population, with over half of its citizens under the age of 25, providing a significant opportunity for growth and development. India is also home to a large and growing middle class, which is driving consumption and demand for goods and services. The rise of e-commerce and online shopping has further fueled this trend, making India one of the fastest growing e-commerce markets in the world. One of the biggest challenges is the high level of income inequality and poverty in the country. Despite significant economic growth, a large percentage of the population still lives in poverty, with limited access to basic needs such as healthcare and education. Another major challenge for India's economy is the country's infrastructure. While the government has invested heavily in recent years, India's infrastructure still lags behind other developed economies. This includes transportation, power, and water supply, as well as basic sanitation facilities. The country's dependence on oil imports, for example, leaves it exposed to fluctuations in global oil prices, which can have a significant impact on the economy. India's economy is full of opportunities and challenges. According to the Global Multidimensional Poverty Index 2022, around 415 million people in India climbed out of poverty between 2005-06 and 2019-21, with the incidence of poverty falling from 55% to just over 16% over this period. In 2022, India was ranked 63rd out of 190 countries in the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business Index. India's economy is vulnerable to external factors such as global trade and international oil prices. The country's dependence on oil imports, for example, leaves it exposed to fluctuations in global oil prices, which can have a significant impact on the economy. In 2022, India was the world's third largest consumer of oil, importing around 85% of its total oil consumption. India has also made significant progress in financial inclusion, with the government launching the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana (PMJD) scheme to provide access to banking services to all citizens. As of December 30, 2022, over 47.84 crores, 47.84 million, of bank accounts have been opened under this scheme. Another significant policy initiative is the Goods and Services Tax, GST, which was implemented in July 2017. The GST is a unified tax system that replaced several indirect taxes and has helped to streamline the tax system and reduce compliance costs for businesses. The GST has also increased tax revenue for the government, with collections crossing the 149,507 rupees crore, $14.96 billion, mark for 8 consecutive months as of December 2022. India has also made significant progress in renewable energy, with the government setting a target of achieving 175 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by 2022. As of October 2022, India's renewable energy capacity was around 408.71 gigawatts, accounting for around 42.26% of the country's total installed capacity. The country's GDP contracted by 8.7% in 2021-22, the sharpest contraction in 4 decades. The pandemic has led to a decline in consumption, investment, and exports, affecting several sectors such as tourism, hospitality, and aviation. The Indian government has announced several measures to support the economy, including in 20 lakh rupees crore, $275 billion, stimulus package, liquidity support for businesses, and structural reforms in several sectors. The government has also launched several schemes such as Atmanirbhar Bharat and PM Garib Kalyan Yojana to support the poor and vulnerable sections of society. Did you know that India is the world's 6th largest economy by nominal GDP and the 3rd largest by purchasing power parity? As of 2021, India's nominal GDP was estimated at $2.7 trillion, while its GDP based on purchasing power parity was $11.3 trillion. The country's IT industry is one of the fastest growing in the world, with revenues expected to reach $194 billion by 2025. India is also the world's largest producer of generic medicines and accounts for 20% of global exports. In agriculture, India is the world's 2nd largest producer of fruits and vegetables and the largest producer of milk. According to the World Bank, the poverty rate in India declined from 60% in 1981 to 12.4% in 2018. The country has also made significant progress in reducing maternal and child mortality rates, with maternal mortality declining from 212 deaths per 100,000 live births in 2007-09 to 113 deaths per 100,000 live births in 2016-18. According to the International Labour Organization, India's unemployment rate increased from 5.8% in 2018 to 6.1% in 2019, with women and youth being disproportionately affected. India also has one of the highest rates of malnutrition in the world, with 37.9% of children under the age of 5 being underweight. India has emerged as a major player in the global digital economy, with a rapidly growing e-commerce sector and a large and expanding user base for digital services. The country has over 700 million internet users and is expected to have 1 billion users by 2025. According to the Global Environment Performance Index, India ranked 168 out of 180 countries in 2020 in terms of environmental performance. India's economy is heavily influenced by its agricultural sector, which employs over 50% of the country's workforce and contributes around 17% of its GDP. India is also home to a large and growing manufacturing sector, which contributes around 30% of its GDP. The country has become a hub for several industries, including automobiles, electronics, and textiles, with many global companies setting up manufacturing units in India. India's economy is also heavily dependent on its energy sector, which is the third largest consumer of energy in the world after China and the US. The country is heavily reliant on fossil fuels, with coal accounting for around 70% of its total energy consumption. To reduce its dependence on fossil fuels and promote renewable energy, the government has launched several initiatives, such as the National Solar Mission, which aims to achieve 100 gigawatts of solar energy capacity by 2022, and the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, which provides free LPG connections to households below the poverty line. India's tourism industry is also an important contributor to its economy, generating around 9% of its GDP and employing around 42 million people. The country is home to several popular tourist destinations, including the Taj Mahal, the Golden Temple, and the beaches of Goa. To promote tourism and attract more foreign visitors, the government has launched several initiatives, such as the Swadesh Darshan scheme, which aims to develop tourism infrastructure and circuits around specific themes, and the e-visa scheme, which allows foreign tourists to apply for visas online. India's economy is a fascinating mix of agriculture, manufacturing, services, energy, tourism, and other sectors, with a population of over 1.3 billion people, making it one of the world's largest and fastest growing economies. The government's policies and initiatives have been instrumental in driving growth and development, but there's still a long way to go. India's economic story is a story of resilience, innovation, and determination. As the country faces new challenges and opportunities in the 21st century, its people and government must work together to build a sustainable and inclusive future for all. Together for a better future.